What's up, guys? So just going to do a 15-10 rapid game. My opponent is Bigna007, rated 1566, from the land of India. I'm currently rated 1551, and they didn't go for it. Okay, let's try another. I think if somebody had bought with the white pieces, they should forfeit white on the next game. They should have to play until they play with black. Okay, at 1551 we are rated exactly the same. Okay, I know what my general repertoire is going to be. We have e4, e5. So there's 15 plus 10. I'm going to be playing principled, relatively, within the bounds of being a crazy gambit addict. I'm going to use my checklist. Okay, we've got the Rue Lopez. So we've got now the Danish gambit with pawn to f5, surprising our opponent. I definitely have to think quite carefully in these openings. I don't know them off by heart, but I can guarantee you as well that my opponent does not know this line already. Okay, d3. Right, there's no danger of the queen coming out there. If I take, they take. Queens aren't facing off. Queens still can't come to h5. But if they take now here, I don't really have the threat of e4 hitting the knight anymore because of this d3 pawn. So I think takes is probably the way to go. I can check that later. Apologise for the filth. I've been firelighting this morning, doing some bushcraft. Okay, so I think knight f6 looks straight up. Why are you doing bushcraft hunting instead of making chess videos? Well, I'll tell you why. So I'm thinking of setting up a new business, training people in survival skills and bushcraft and stuff like that. So today I have made a load of charcloth, which is a firelighting material. Okay, still don't have to worry about the queen coming out. That's attacked. It's defended once, but the defender is also attacked. So maybe d6 is a thought. Maybe knight e7 is a thought, but that's ugly. That isn't ugly. So if bishop takes, I can recapture with another knight. The alternative, there aren't many alternatives. Queen f6 is not nice. Bishop here is not brilliant. But knight e7 blocks off my... It might have to be d6. Yeah, so now if bishop takes, I recapture with the b pawn. Given another turn, I may play bishop d7, so I can recapture with my bishop, or queen d7, but I think bishop d7. On the principle that you develop your minor pieces before your queen. Okay, bishop can come out here. We're unconcerned. Okay, he's done that. That's quiet. He's probably not going to that square, being a light square bishop. I'm thinking just develop the bishop, really. Then this bishop will probably come to e7. Knight. It's all kind of natural. No great reason to rush. Okay, so I've made charcloth on a small fire, lit the fire with flint and steel and a piece of charcloth, because it's important to practice these things. Okay, I think bishop out. Knight's going to come out. I'm going to castle, probably short, but long castles is perfectly alright as well. However, in order to do that, I need to move this bishop so I can move the queen, probably. Okay, he's brought his knight out. What's that knight doing? It has a hole on d5. Now, if I come here and he comes in, I could take him, pawn takes, hits my knight. My knight doesn't really have a great place to go, that's the only problem. I could put my bishop here, giving my knight a place to go. I could kick his bishop away. That looks quite good as well. Knight comes in here, attacks my bishop. That's not my good bishop. My light square bishop is my good bishop. My better of the two, my preferred. I'm going to just play the knight out. Let's play the knight here. Might kick the bishop anyway. It's not a waste of a move if it comes with tempo. It means your opponent has to do something. Okay, now my first, you see, I almost just did it instinctively as I was playing 5-minute blitz. And that's the problem with blitz. Okay, one attacker, one defender. Can't move the defender. Yeah, I'm going to kick it. I don't see any downside. If takes, I take with G. I've got a semi-open G file then. Not worried about knight comes in, I'll just take the bishop. Oof, right, first thought is G5. Now, whenever you have a first thought, you always have to remember rule number 1. The first thing to do is nothing. Always do nothing. Is there a better move? For example, do I want to play like Queen C8, try and sack the bishop? Do I want my queen here? No, because the knight's defended by the queen and the bishop's defended by the knight. Nothing really going on there. No reason not to play G5. None at all, precious. Right. My problem right now is queen. I want to get my king castled and I'm not going short anymore. My queen is in the way, but my bishop's in the way of the queen, but my knight's in the way of the bishop. So what can I do with my knight? Do I want to, for example, go here and attack this bishop? Do I want to capture the bishop and force f takes g? I don't know. But it is making progress towards the king. It's also, though, moving to an undefended square where it could be victim to a discovery by that queen there. Do I just want to push? Is G5 an idea? It's forcing. It's hitting 2 things. But if pawn takes, I can't take back immediately with the... Oh, I can. Right, push him. See, my opponent's still over 15 minutes. I'm on 12. And I should be on 12. Now, I know I'm wasting time talking to you. But the point is that you should use your time in chess. If my opponent's taking less than 10 seconds per move on average, it means he's either he thinks very, very quick, or he's not thinking enough. I'm just taking there. I don't see any problem with that at all, apart from queen here, but that's covered still. If pawn takes at any time, I can take back with this bishop. Then I can stick my queen on d7, then I can castle my king, and then I can breathe. Also, dude, if I move my knight, I've got 2 attackers against this knight, it's defended only once. Let's be aware of that. Okay, so this is what we call a fork. I can take a pawn here, but that gives up my rook. Rook g8 is the obvious candidate. Bishop then here hitting the rook, I've got rook g7. Yeah. Rook g8 is obvious. Do I want to play this first? Nah, rook g8. Rook g8 actually hits the knight. And if knight takes bishop, happy days. Queen recaptures. Then we get to do this. Rook defends bishop. That's a nice square for my knight, has to be said. Not too shabby. And we've got some tension in the corner. Nobody puts tension in the corner. Yeah, well, yes they do. And now I've grown my fire. And oh, he's attacking my queen. Right, we have options here. Now, one thing to bear in mind is he's also looking at c7. This is not good. So one thought is like line up on here and then try and throw everything up the g file. Because we've got pawn takes, for example. Pawn takes, you take my queen, I take your rook, make a queen, queen takes queen, doesn't really work. So I'm thinking that knight takes is a bit of a no-brainer. Then I probably, after pawn takes, I'm going to have to move my knight. So knight probably comes to d4. d4, b4 is also a thought. Now d4, it's defended by a pawn. It's attacking the bishop. We may see a trade of bishops. That's not a bad thing, because then if pawn takes Yeah. Don't see why not. Okay. Now also, like, the queen can't go there, for example, because I've got a fork on A1 and E1. That would not be good. Bishop takes here is very likely, and I'm just going to recapture with her maj, and then we go ahead and we castle long, and we're actually up a pawn. Huh, who would have thunk it? Oh, okay, well, that's interesting. You've got a fork on my pawn. You sod. Right, okay, well, queen blocks I think is pretty much forced. If he trades queens now, he gives up a free pawn. If he takes this pawn, I'm almost certain just to capture there. But also, okay, well now it's going to be... Oh, good move. Oh, that was... I missed that completely, man. Okay, I've just lost a piece. Because my queen is pinned. What should I have done here? I should have just moved the damn king out of the way, shouldn't I? Shit. I should have moved the king. This, now the king is the only defender of the queen and the only defender of the bishop, right? So I pretty much have, I can't surrender my queen, so I have to, like, do this. And I've just dumped a piece. That was really good play. Well done. Well done. Okay, and now we've traded. Okay, that's annoying. Okay, well that isn't so brilliant because I can capture with a knight and get a pawn back. All right, so I'm actually one pawn up at this point, and that bishop right there is pinned. So, good play by my opponent. I fell to a very good tactical idea. Now, the bishop's pinned. I have, in 2 moves, I can attack the bishop. If I do this, he's going to move the king. He can't move the bishop because it's still pinned. So he's going to move the king either to there or there. That is not a bad thing. I've just advanced my pawn 1 square up the board, okay? And unless he moves the king right now, yeah, exactly, I'm going to go there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my other rook onto this semi-open file. Now, so the features of the game are now, I have a 2-pawn advantage in the centre, right? So we've got 3-3, okay, 3-3 there. So they don't really matter. What really matters is this. Now, there's also a 2-1 on the king side. However, his king is on the king side. Okay, he's got 2 pieces looking at this. So, with my pawns on dark squares, my opponent's bishop is going to have a lot fewer options, right? These bishop can't go to any of these squares. I might just do that while I think. That's a possibility. So my basic job is to push these pawns up the board. Okay, I suspect he wants to come here. I might just do this. What if he wants to come here? Then I can push, double push. Likewise if he comes here, but then if he comes back for the other one. Okay, no, this is fine. I'm just going to, this is fine. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 rook probably on rank 7 and 1 rook on rank 5, yeah. So I'm going to play this one first, because it's going on a light square on rank 5. And then I'll probably try and get this rook onto f7, so that I'm defending my backwards pawn. This a5 will probably come, yeah. Also defending both of these. It's got now 3 defenders, so that pawn is happy. I'm thinking rook here, and then I'm not only defending that, I'm also doubling up with that, which makes life harder because he has to have proper defense on this pawn. He's not up much in material. Then we might be thinking about ideas of pushing in the center. It really is kind of essential. I know my friend Jose will be saying you've got a pass pawn, you've got to push it. Not really called Jose. This pawn can't really move because that allows my rook in there, but I don't think I really... Oh, I don't know. Trade rooks. Opens up the king a bit. Okay, so this is not the worst situation. I was doing very well, but I got punked. And I think I reacted quite quickly at that point as well. Okay, so he's got 3 attackers on this pawn, but it's got 3 defenders, so there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to go here. A5 will come. Rook G to F7 will come. And I think I'm pretty solid. We might be looking at trying to... Huh. Okay. If I take, bishop takes, king here, hits the bishop. Quite like the fact that it opens up the g file, which keeps his king out of the game. Or if I just let him take, I recapture. So there's no real point using my next turn to do that. Or I could just move the king as well. That's another idea. Moving the king puts the pressure on this, and then I'll end up with my king there. I think I'll just play a5. If he wants to take, he's going to take, and I might as well just use that move, invest that move in pushing that pawn forward, which is something I wanted to do anyway, so there we go. Now, I'm not sure he's any better off, really, after that trade. Yes, I don't have a pair of rooks to double up with, but neither does he. Also, I've got a much more centralised king, which is no bad thing. Okay, he wants to come over here. If he does, it's defended. I could always just like shuffle my king up. I'd like to push this forward and... Oh, does that not trap the bishop? Can I go here? With the idea of h4? I believe I can. He can't go there with the bishop. What can he do? Is he going to have to move this pawn? No, he can't do that because I take with a fork. And he hasn't got a check there. If he checks there, he loses the bishop. So, yeah, so that's not playable. So that's my threat. h4 is my threat. See if he notices. Important that my rook here is defending the backwards pawn. That's the threat. So I've decided, for a couple of reasons, to play one longer game each day. One reason is because I don't think that's playable. We had this conversation. Right, he can't check with the rook. So he can't get out of the fork with check. And that just drops his bishop. So now he is a full pawn behind all over again. Right? Now, okay, so back to the thing, yeah. Playing longer games. If you're going to win a longer game, you need to think more. And that's a good thing, because that's how we improve, right? Now, okay, question is, where does my king want to be? I'm tempted to play h4. Does my king kind of want to be here? His king is shut out of the game. You're out of the game. You are out of the game. Yeah, I think it would be useful to have my king over here. My rook doesn't want to leave that g file. Okay, so I'm gonna move my king now. He can't skewer my king on the pawn. If he comes here, I'm just going to come here. So my goal, I think, is to get to d7. I think. And this is now really, really important. Okay, so reason number one is playing longer time formats is the way that you actually improve. Yes, I've spent about 6 weeks dicking about in the land of Blitz. There's my candidate moves right now. But I'm done with that now, and I think that it's now time to play some more grown-up chess and improve again, right? And the other reason is that my wife, Mrs. Hunty, was starting to get cheesed off with how many games of chess I was playing, and she said to me, "Can you go and help me with this?" And I go, "I'm just in the middle of a game," and stuff like that. So, bottom line is, playing lots more games doesn't make you lots better. Okay, back to the game in hand. And another reason is that some people have said we really like the longer format games rather than the Blitz examples where you just throw stuff around and mess about. That's not a good idea, I don't think, at this point. If my king was behind the pawns in, then yeah. So ideas is, one is drop the king back and try and come back here and then shuffle these pawns up. That's not a bad idea. Might have to put my rook here. I'm going to do that. There's no need to start pushing pawns yet, I don't think. This king is completely locked out. The only thing he can do is to trade off his rook. So maybe that's an argument for h4, I don't know. Or maybe this now preventing rook c4 so that I can play h4. Then his rook can't come here. So he's going to have to get his rook onto a different rank, but then how is he going to do that? Well, that doesn't really work. If he goes there, I go there. Okay, no worries. Okay, so he's released his rook, but he has not released his king. Now if he pushes this, I have to drop away. But still, it keeps the king on the wrong side of the board, right? This is the key thing. This is my extra pawn. Now, currently, his rook is also keeping my king out. If I do this, I've got ideas of then check, coming round, I don't know. This is also a thought, with a fork winning this pawn. That gives me a completely passed d pawn, no bad thing. This is my opponent's only real hope, I think, the h pawn. I think this has to be kind of plan A, doesn't it? Win Charlie, and then send Dave on his merry way to try and fulfill his life's dream of becoming a queen. Now this rook's kind of stuck on this rank as well to some degree. Okay, now there's no en passant there. I'm going to play this move. It prevents king here. No rush. And of course the beauty of playing with an increment is that whoever gets into the best position in the end game, if you can get into a winning position, you win. Unless you screw it up. When you've got that 10-second increment. Even small increments in blitz and stuff can make a big difference. Rook here is not really any good because it just drops the pawn. But rook here, king moves, I literally win a whole pawn, and then he takes that. But then I might even be able to come down and win another one, so depends where the king goes. If he does get his rook on here, he's defending that pawn. So it may be a case where I end up like sacking my rook to get rid of this pawn, I don't know. But if I can, I would like to maintain this situation. My concern was that he was just going to push h4, sorry. But then I'd have to move away anyway, so it's not a biggie. But I don't think this works. He just takes my pawn. I've got nothing to show for it. Still plan A. I do that. Okay, so he's preempted. Okay, if I check, he can't go there, he can go here. But then his king's in the way of his own pawn, but then he's going to win my pawn. If I go here, I can win the A pawn, and then I've got a totally passed pawn as well. Right, that's what we're doing, off we go. Zip dip diddly, here we go. He's going to take with a rook. He can't take with a king because then I take this pawn. Okay, so I take Andy. Now I'm going to come after Charlie as well. Okay, he's taken that. So now I have to push up with the king. I'm going to come here. Now this here, I'm just going to win that pawn. He's got no way to defend it. He can't defend that pawn. His most pressing move is he's got to check, then I come here and attack Barry as well. And I think we're doing okay here. And a key feature of this game was driving the king into the corner and then imprisoning it, at least temporarily, with my rook. That allowed me to centralise my king more. Okay, this is okay. He can even come after this pawn because I don't even care. Because I can then take here, which I'm going to do now actually. Take. Right, now he's panicking now. So he wants to move his rook, 1, 2, 3, get a queen. So he's closer than I am. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he's not. Okay, so now what we do is, this is when we take off our shoes and socks. In fact, I haven't got shoes and socks on. And we count. So I go 1. He goes 1. 2. No. This is a problem. So I can't, what I want to do is kind of put my rook, I want to put my rook here. Hang on. Takes here, he goes there. 1. He attacks. I have to move my king up. Attack his king. Comes up towards my rook. Or do we ignore this pawn entirely? Push the king now. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. I actually think that if I do even sack my rook for this pawn, a king and 4 rooks, a king and 4 pawns beats a king and a rook. 4 connected pawns, I think, is going to be pretty much unstoppable, I think. So I'm almost tempted to take that and then come over here and just let him do whatever he wants to do. Because I don't think I've got time to do this. If we just go straight for it, right? That's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and he takes it. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to see what he does. Oh, he's gone for my rear pawn. You see, now if I go here, the king can't counterattack my rook. If I go here with check, where's he going to go? Or do I just need to play c5? I think I can. I really do. I think that even a king and 2 pawns, I think I've won a game before with a king and 2 pawns against a king and a rook. 2 connected pawns. I've got 4 connected pawns. I'm not... all he's doing here is he's inviting me to push my pawns up the board. And I don't think that's in his interests, guys. Okay, now I come over to here, right? And now I'm just going to wait. I'm going to sit it out. Okay. So what do I push now? If I push this, he's going to do that. Oh no, he can't. In fact, I can even just push that. I can just push Dave the D pawn. Push Dave the D pawn now. He queens. He can't queen. All this is just calculation, isn't it? And a very basic calculation. So, okay, this is good. Now if I do this, he takes pawn. No. Is it c4? I think it's c4. See, the moment I'm just waiting for that pawn to promote, then it gets snatched off the board, and then I think he's out of luck, because rooks are powerful, but they're not that powerful. Okay, do I wait for the? Okay, if I push and he takes now, if I push here and he takes, no need. Right, just queen, king up, this up. I think we're okay. Really do. I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it, guys. Okay, good night, queen. Thank you for playing. Right, now, what is it? It's there, and he has to go here or here. Right there, if he goes behind, I push the c pawn to defend. This is fine. If he goes here, I think that's a big mistake, but the same is going to happen. Whatever he does, he's got to hit that pawn with his rook. Wherever he goes, I'm going to play c3. Okay, here we go, c3. Now he has to check if he wants. I can just push up. I can let him waste time trying to gobble these pawns up while I just romp home and win. Okay, now the king wants to take part, but I think this is unstoppable now, right? 2 pawns, yeah? 2 side-by-side pawns, he cannot stop them. If he takes that one, I get a queen. And I just win. You check me, do? I could even block with my queen, man. I could even block with my queen. I'm doing it. I'm gonna rub your nose in it, mate. You take that, king takes, and there's nothing you can do. Nothing, blood. Right, so now 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to here, right? I go here, he goes here. King there. There's nothing he cannot stop Andy. Andy is the unstoppable assailant. And you win, bosh, by resignation. I won an endgame. Get in. I know, my fellow trainers will be proud of me. The coaches, that felt good. And 8 very valuable points takes me up to 15.59. Boys and girls, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go and just check over the opening, check it against my repertoire, make sure I didn't make any early mistakes. Well done to my opponent for that tactical manoeuvre, leaving my king, taking advantage of the fact that he had a pin plus an overstretched defender. The king was the only defender of 2 pieces. Very, very good move, but really, really proud of myself for this ending. Literally, if I look at the eval now, it's going to shoot. In fact, it might not even work. Sometimes it doesn't. Might not even work. But black's completely won anyway. Because here's the point, right? Let's just figure this out from here, yeah? So I've gone there. If the king now actually cannot get through, right? So to get to this pawn now, he would have to come here, there, and then he can't go there. If he goes here, it's too late, right? Now, before I make that king move, let's say I'd push my pawn now. It's still pretty much impossible. But now he gets to go king here. And now again, if I fail to do that, right, I go pawn here, da-da-da. Now I go pawn here, but again, still he can't stop it. Still he can't stop it. So it looks like you can get your king to the 6th rank. That's probably enough. As long as his king can't get in front of yours. If his king gets in front of yours, that could be horrible. Yeah, really, really good game. Enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching. See you later.